Have you ever really stopped to think about how you shop? Not what you buy, but the actual how. So often, the biggest changes in our world don't happen with some big loud explosion. They happen with a quiet click. This is the story of the Amazon effect. It's about how one company didn't just sell us stuff, it completely rewired our brains, one convenient package at a time. And this question is really at the heart of everything. What if the easiest, most seamless choice you make every single day isn't really a choice in the end? We're going to dive into how that path of least resistance became a superhighway that, well, it reshaped just about everything. You see, from the very beginning, Amazon was built on this one incredibly powerful promise: to make your life easier. Their whole strategy was to hunt down and just get rid of every single tiny obstacle that stands between you and the thing you want. And this right here, this was a total psychological game changer. With one-click buying, Amazon basically erased the space between wanting something and owning it. That little moment of hesitation, that little voice in your head that goes, do I really need this? Poof, it was gone. Buying became less of a thought-out decision and more of a reflex. Amazon just got something fundamental about us. We're not always looking for more stuff, for abundance. A lot of the time, we're just looking for relief. Relief from the chore of searching, the annoyance of waiting, the anxiety of not knowing. And by solving all these little problems, they quietly, piece by piece, changed our habits for good. So the big question is, how did they pull it off? How did they build this incredibly smooth world? Well, the answer is in a business plan that for years made Wall Street just scratch their heads. It was a strategy that wasn't about today's profits, but all about tomorrow's total dominance. Think about it. While pretty much every other company was obsessed with their quarterly profits, Amazon was playing a completely different game. They were chasing scale. Jeff Bezos had this core belief that if the company could make itself absolutely essential to people's lives, then the profits would just have to follow. So every single dollar they made went right back into building a bigger, faster, and more powerful machine. And this obsession with getting bigger fueled this constant, relentless expansion. It started with books, right? A category so huge, no physical store could ever hope to contain it all. Then came music, then electronics. And pretty soon they opened up the marketplace, basically becoming the digital landlord for thousands of other businesses. And with every single step, we, the customers, were being trained to expect to find absolutely everything right now. But here's the thing. The stuff they were selling on the website, that was only half the story. Underneath it all, Amazon was building something way bigger, something that would become the invisible backbone of the entire modern internet. We all saw the cardboard boxes showing up on our doorsteps, but what we couldn't see was the massive digital architecture they were building in the background. And this is where the story pivots, from Amazon being a store to it becoming something more like a public utility. And that utility is called Amazon Web Services, or AWS. It was an absolutely brilliant move. They took the incredibly powerful computer systems they'd built to run their own giant store, and they started renting it out to everyone else. All of a sudden, Amazon wasn't just a retailer anymore. It was the foundation for a huge chunk of the internet, powering companies from Netflix to NASA, even some of its own biggest competitors. Okay, so this brings us to what might be the most important part of the Amazon effect. It's not just about how it changed how we shop. It's about how it changed our minds, how it completely reset our expectations for how the world is supposed to work. This really just says it all. You see, Amazon's real product was never just books or batteries. It was a new standard of expectation. Once we all got used to 2-day shipping and having everything at our fingertips, well, there was no going back. Our old world was gone. Seriously, just think about it for a second. Waiting for things used to be normal. It was just a part of life. Now, waiting feels like a mistake. It feels like something is broken. Amazon didn't invent impatience, but boy, did it put it on an assembly line. It turned a normal human experience into a problem that needed to be solved with engineering. And services like Prime just sealed the deal. Fast, free shipping went from being this amazing, delightful perk to just the bare minimum. The extraordinary became the baseline. And once that happened, anything slower didn't just feel slow, it felt wrong. Which brings us to today. We live in a world where Amazon isn't just another company anymore. It's kind of become part of the background, a quiet, permanent fixture in our environment that we don't even question. And this is the real question we have to ask ourselves now. At what point does a service stop being something we choose to use and start becoming basic infrastructure? You know, like the power grid or running water. We don't really think about Amazon until it's not there. It's just become this invisible utility that organizes a big part of our life. Of course, living in this totally frictionless world has these subtle costs, right? Our idea of choice starts to just mean whatever is most efficient. The very idea of putting in effort can start to feel strange, unnecessary. Our patience wears thin, and trying to find an alternative, even if it's a better one, just feels like too much work. And that's really the secret to modern power, isn't it? Amazon's dominance didn't come from forcing anyone to do anything. It came from aligning itself so perfectly with our basic human desire for comfort that it just became the default, the easiest path forward. In the end, the story of Amazon shows us a totally new kind of power, one where empires aren't built with armies and conquest, but with comfort and convenience. They don't have to conquer us, they just comfort us into relying on them. And that leaves us with a pretty big question. In a world that's been optimized for total ease, what is the real price we pay for all this convenience? Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.